you once again for tuning into What You Know It, the Iconist podcast. And like usual, I'm one of your hosts of the show, Barry 3D for Deep Dark Delicious. Hey, over 100 episodes, we still rocking that hard. On my side, as always, the man, the myth, the legend, my co-host, my best friend, the man that keeps me sane, the one and only
DJ Rod C. Good day, good afternoon, good morning to you, wherever you may be on this globe of a place we call planet Earth. Yes, it's Iconist. It's Iconist, and the icon is...
Hold up. We got some things we got to do before we get down to the icon. I know you see the name, but here it is. So first of all, we got to do a shout out to my boys who I roll with all the time. That's a touch of gray matter. That's myself, Dave Sokolowski, and Zelf Ali. Keep your eyes peeled at what? Barry3D.com. Then look up the tour dates. You'll see when we're going to be posting. We've got some dates coming in for the future, and we're going to be there, right? We also got to shout out our people that support the show. So one, we've got a big shout out for Brandy Ford for The Writer and the Wit. Check the link down below to see her magazine. It comes out every month. She's also on a radio station. Give her a listen. You might even hear some familiar voices like mine so far if you go back in the archives and other people. So yes, thank you so much for that. And on top of that, you got to support the books. The books support us, and this is how the show goes about it. So one, you got to go out to Wow Comics out in Kitchener. Tell Wes and the rest of the guys we said hi. It's awesome. Got to have the tangible books. Can't be always digital. And then, of course, if you're out in Montreal, you got to go over to Check Swings. Tell Trevor and the rest of the guys that we said hi. And, you heard about it here on the Iconist podcast. Woo! I think this is the fastest we're getting through this. And on top of that, we got to thank the other man, myth, the legend, the other person you don't see that often, but you see his work all the time here, and that's Jason Reese. Who are we talking about, Rod?
We're talking about J Bird Digital Art.
J Bird Digital Arts. If you want to see and have something you want to do, reach out to J Bird. Jason can hook you up. Tell him you heard about him on the Iconist podcast, and he'll give you a discount for the work. Now,
just give me back money.
That's right. Save what you can because gas is expensive. So that being said, look at some of the stuff that Jay's done. If you're looking to start a podcast right now, if you're looking to start a podcast, you can do what we did. We turned around. We went on podbean.com. That's where our podcast is hosted. Over 100 episodes on there in the backlog, the catalogs, or you can look at YouTube and find our stuff there. And we've also put up some YouTube shorts. Have you seen them? Then have a good laugh with it. It's all in good fun. Woo. So we got those going on and a lot more stuff coming that we promised that we're going to get to. And Jay's, and so Podbean, if you want to do the podcasting. And Jay, if you need a logo, you need a template for your video. If you have YouTube shorts or reels for Instagram or any of that stuff, and you want those that we have in our shorts, the same way if you look on our shorts tab on YouTube, you'll see that he's made those templates for us just for those. Branding is key. If you're going to start anything, believe in it, do it. He's got you covered. Can't express that enough. Thank you so much, Jay, for all the work you do. Woo! All right, I think we've covered most of everyone that. Hey, I think that's the fastest we've done it.
Might have been.
Right. It's been a while. We're a little bit rusty. I got to say this. I know by the time this episode comes out, it's going to be a little bit of a delay. So you understand. This episode is being filmed right now as of June 19th. So this is our June 19th episode. You're going to see this in a couple of weeks. I got to do a shout out to my buddy, Sean Blades. Happy birthday. I wish you happy birthday, but I know he listens. So Sean, big shout out there. There's another person that always follows our videos there on Iconist, and that is Reed. So Reed always liking it. I got to shout you out. I see Reed all the time checking it off. So thank you very much, Reed. Thumbs up. And everyone else there. I met a person named Jessica. Jessica, we met at an event. I was dressed as a Mountie. Shout out to you too. Watch the shorts. You'll have some fun with that. So these are all the things that have been going on. And I've said, you want to see what's going on? Barry3D.com has all the links to everything that we do, across the board. And I got more coming. And Rod, where can they find you?
Listen, you can find me on the World Wide Web. As I always say, you can find me on Instagram at Mr. Rod C, MRRODC. Follow me on Instagram. You see all the stuff I'm doing. You can find me on Twitch at DJ Rod C. As well, I've finally added myself properly to the world of TikTok. You can find me on TikTok at DJ Rod C1. and I'm the number one. DJ Rod C. One. That's it. Listen, you can find me there. Follow, shout me out, follow you back, shout you back. Listen, we gotta have some fun up in here. But right now, forget about me. Forget about what I've said. What we're going to talk about now is the icon. And today's icon is
on Iconis. The icon is Rocket Racer.
Rocket Racer. Rocket Racer.
Right on, right? Rocket Racer. Now, why Rocket Racer? Why not Rocket Racer? Because we want to bring you some of the characters you might not know that should be sometimes in there. And maybe we might have a suggestion on how these characters could be or done. So here is it. So, Rocket Racer by Marvel Comics made his first appearance as a villain. In 1977 in The Amazing Spider-Man issue number 172. Now, that brother funky. And yes, I'm saying a brother because, he is a person of color. He's a black man, Rocket Racer, and sometimes, as I said, you watch the Simpsons, it's like, is it wrong to steal a loaf of bread, but if you're going to feed your family? And Bart's like, well, no, sir, you're doing something good. That's basically the motto behind Rocket Racer. He's got a red costume, trimmed in yellow knee pads. He's got a yellow skateboard. And the skateboard literally has little rockets on it, so he can go down extremely fast. The skateboard lets him go down the street and lets him climb walls, and he stays clamped onto it with magnets. So that's Rocket Racer, and he's got little missiles that shoot out from his gloves. So he's got like a color scheme of Iron Man, maybe the Flash.
I was about to say, no, definitely, yeah. You do see the Iron Man Flash type of merger in there. You can see the similarity right there. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And, this character started off, as I said, in 1977. So his name was Robert Farrell. He was born in Brooklyn, New York, and he's the eldest of 7 children. Now, at one point, his mom gets sick, and he has to take on the responsibility of, providing, for the rest of his siblings, his other 6 siblings, and his mom, because she couldn't work and had to cover those medical bills. He is a genius. He is, a genius, and he was going to school, and he was a scientific prodigy. So he came up with the whole concept of the gyros, the magnetics. And because it wasn't paying the bills, he had to turn around and do something to bring the money in to support his family. Father's not around. It's mom, 6 siblings. It's like 19 and counting. So he took it upon himself to say, the only way I can do it is make this costume to go out there and pull a couple of quick bank heists, and steal whatever I can from corporations that wouldn't miss it too much, almost like a Robin Hood kind of syndrome, but he was really doing it for himself. He wasn't giving back to the poor. He was the poor. So
keep it within, yeah. Cut out the middleman. That's what he's doing.
He's cutting out the middleman?
Yeah, pretty much.
The character was created by the writer Len Wein, and the artist was Ross Andru. Yeah, there you go.
Andru, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So that's what he's been about. And, he's been around for a lot of years. So he said he started off as a full-out villain. And the thing about it is when he first encountered Spider-Man couldn't catch him. Spider-Man couldn't catch him. He was too slick for Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying, brother? Too fast. That's right. The reason I'm using the word slick and brother is because he was back in the 1970s. It's the disco era. So the character had an afro. Come on, funky brother.
Come on, let's go.
It's the disco era. Come on. It's him and Dazzler. We should talk about Dazzler. It's him and Dazzler.
Put a pin on that one.
Put a pin in that. It's done. Watch. So this is what his motivation was. This is what it came down to. And, as I said, it's early enough. He's trying to do all this. So as I said, he developed a superpowered skateboard, which propelled at great speed by small rocket and cybernetically controlled by a crude Walkman-like device. Okay, so for the young people out there, if you don't know what a Walkman is, it was this box that we used to put a cassette tape. Now, if you don't know what a cassette tape is, it's a smaller, box that has a strip of magnetic tape on it that we would put sounds on, and that's how we listen to music. This is before MP3s, MP4s, CDs, but it was after 8-tracks. See, if you look it up, Google Sony Walkman Here it is. Here's a picture of a Sony Walkman. You're seeing it right now. This is what we used to get put on there with, like, two AA batteries with headphones, and we walked down strutting. And Sony made a lot of money off of this. And, it had a play button, a rewind button, a fast forward button, a eject button, and you had to take the tape out, put it over. See, if you knew a DJ, if you had a friend or family member that was a DJ, they would mix the music and put it on a cassette tape and then copy it. And then you would beg them for a copy. And you would beg them to put on Saturday Love as many times as possible. So when as young Barry would get it, he would jam it in there and he would walk on down strutting to his jam.
Now, are you referring that to me, or are you referring that to Wiz?
That's right. So well, both apply because I'm a Gemini, so I gotta have two. So yeah, so that goes up to my Rod, who was AKA before he was DJ Spy. And it goes up to my boy Donovan. He used to be going by DJ Wiz, but he goes by Drags now. So either way, shout out to you, Rod, who's right here, and shout out to Drags for sure, doing big things all over the place. So big up there. Blessings. So this is what it had to be, or you had to stay home and hit the radio play. So anyways, getting off track. That's what your Sony Walkman is. So you had that. You had rocket-powered punch, so the gloves would have rockets on them so you can hit harder. Yeah. So in his early encounters, as I said, he dealt with, fighting Spider-Man. So that was how it came about. Mm-hmm. And then he gets hired by the Tinkerer. Now, the Tinkerer is another, up there villain. If Rocket Racer was like a D villain, I would say the Tinkerer would be maybe a B villain.
Yeah, Tinkerer's a B.
Yeah, he's a B villain. He's known, but not known enough. He wouldn't be up there like Dr. Doom class and all that. But the Tinkerer was a genius in himself. And the Tinkerer, hires Rocket Racer, and he updates his skateboard because that's the Tinkerer. I mean, literally, it's his name, Tinkerer. So he would help build things, improve things. So he improved the skateboard, improved the armor, improved all this stuff to, help, Rocket Racer pull off some more heist in the long run. Yeah, and he's hired at one point. He's hired at one point by Jackson Whaley to steal evidence that would be incriminating. So, this is funny, man. Rocket Racer hires a Tinkerer to redesign his skateboard after his first defeat by Spider-Man. So, even though he got away from Spider-Man, Spider-Man does capture him. He does do some time. He gets back out. Tinkerer helps him out, hires him, tries to go and steal some evidence. And then, Robert wants to use the evidence to blackmail Wheelie, who wishes to commit suicide, but Robert stops him. So he's a villain with a conscience. He's not like a cold-hearted villain.
Yeah,
that's why I use the Robin Hood analogy.
He's a villain. He's a villain with morals. There's a reason why he does what he has to do. Like you said, he basically needed to support his family. So realizing, again, this is back in the 70s, is just the imagery of saying that, well, I'm down out, I can't do anything. It's hard for me to get ahead. I gotta lean into the world of crime to achieve my immediate goals. But as you can see, he's not really that much of a criminal-minded person because he tried to stop someone from committing suicide. That's some good stuff. We'll put a pin on that. You'll understand why later.
Absolutely. So he turns around and he starts fighting this guy, and he taunts the guy by calling him Big Wheel. So Rocket Racer versus Big Wheel. Come on, people. It was the 70s, okay? But from 1977, we had Star Wars, and then everything else was still, as it is. All right, let's just go with it. So he deals with Big Wheel, and that causes a fight. So that's a three-way fight between Big Wheel, Rocket Racer, and Spider-Man. And then Rocket Racer, who saved Spider-Man at one point from a bounty hunter, because he's not a murderer. He's only trying to get funds for medical bills and his family. He's not trying to be a millionaire. He's not trying to buy the block. He ain't being Nino Brown, right? All he wants to do is pay them bills. Stop the bill collectors. Don't want the family evicted. They want his brothers to have food and his brothers and his sisters. So long story short, he's gone on back and forth with Spider-Man. He's had, several brushes with the law, as I like to say, and he ends up doing a short jail sentence. So after all this, his brothers, his mom finally say, hey, you're so smart. stop taking the easy road. We know why you did what you did. We don't condone it. We know in your eyes you're trying to do the right thing, but you're using the wrong methods. You should take that genius and do something else. And he reforms. They convince him to reforms. He goes through a high school equivalency course, and he gets, of course, extremely high marks because he's a genius. So, his life of crime did interrupt his schooling. And, of course, this is New York City. So where's he going? Empire State University. Same place Peter Parker is going. Same place Namorta goes from the New Warriors. Like, every hero or villain seems to go to Empire State University. I mean, it's like, Kurt Connor was teaching there, the Lizard.
Listen, it's Stan was being smart and trying to save on background drawing. Why am I going to have to learn a new backdrop? Listen, go to the same university. You just got to draw it once and just label it in the back. Just superimpose it behind. It's the same hallways you walk down like Kurt and Peter. We'll just have Robert down there too. Save on ink. Stan was a smart man. Stan was a smart man. That's what I'm going to say. Stan Lee was a smart man.
It's true. And as I said, he gets the Empire, he gets his scholarship. He goes to Empire State University, and the first few days go kind of rough for him because when he's there, he ends up combating with a hate group on campus, and he gets help by Spider-Man, through the whole ordeal. But this is what he's going through. So later, Robert attempted to prove so Spider-Man gets framed for a crime, and then Robert, as Rocket Racer, tries to prove that he's innocent. And of course, he comes across Silver Sable and the Outlaws. His path is so weird, but in New York, it's so crammed, it's so dense with villains, heroes. Let's put it, the Baxter Building is a block away from the Hellfire Club, okay?
100%.
Right, okay, right. Marvel's headquarters is still down there. Like, Marvel Comics headquarters still existed in the Marvel Universe, so they're around the corner there. They would see these heroes from going by their windows all the time. This is nothing new. So, he teams up with them, Sable and the Outlaws, Spider-Man, stop a white supremacist skinhead. So he goes into dealing with the social aspect issues of the time. So he's gone from being a villain, with morals, reformed, tries to do the right thing, gets into, political strife. Let's just put it that way, racial thing. And I don't want to get too deep into it. It's sometimes a little bit of a sensitive subject for people, understandably. Gets into that, tries to have it from that point of view. And I think they wrote him right. Sometimes he always feels a little bit out, right? Because it's in 1977. So you had the Dogs of Dogtown or whatever, that skateboard movie. Skateboard culture was really coming out in the 70s. And I think it went down a little bit, and then it got really big again. Of course, these things come in waves. So it went from skateboards. I'm talking the skateboard was, for anyone who's listening, anyone watching, when I say skateboard, hopefully I got a picture up here so you can see what I'm talking about. There's longboards and there's skateboards. Now, the skateboard that Tony Hawk uses, I think that's more of a longboard. The skateboards that I'm talking about in the 70s were these little banana boards that barely had room for one of your feet. So it was a lot harder to do tricks, in my opinion. I'm not a skateboarder, but I find it's a little bit harder to do tricks with the original skateboards in the 70s than the ones today. There was less surface area, less room for your feet. You really had to be on point. And I'm not taking anything away from anyone today. It's just that now they made them a little bit longer. So that's what the skateboard he's using. He barely, every time they draw him, he's got one foot on and his other foot's on there, but it's on an angle. So you only see his toes from his second foot touching the skateboard, and the rest of his foot is arched up. Skills and magnets. And he's fought many people. He had to deal with Speed Demon, another speedster within the Marvel Universe. And it had nothing to do with, of course, they couldn't put Speed Demon on Flash because, they could have. They dealt with every other speedster.
Right.
I know it's a different universe. Flat holes. At one point, he briefly joined Tombstone's prison squad along with Big Ben and Hypno Hustler. Hypno Hustler. Down. It was the 70s.
This is what we do. But
it is what it is. Right? Something you have to laugh at.
It is what it is. But you know what? The thing about Robert, about Rocket Racer is that, as you can see, his his transition
Yeah.
from being in the criminal element and how he tried to be that type of mindset and realized that he couldn't do that. And he basically reformed and changed his ways in that sense. He basically became a hero, helping out, like we said, Spider-Man, Silver Sable. As we now say, talking about Tombstone. The great thing about it too, by this point now, he's now basically is identified as one of the 142 registered superhero heroes who's appeared on the cover of Avenger, the Initiative #1. So now that he's now registered as a hero, he now is going through, get reported to Cap Hammond. If I remember, Cap Hammond is the same one with Captain America. Am I correct?
Yeah, yeah.
I believe that's the same one. So at least you see the connection and the tying in with other Marvel individuals, other Marvel IPs. And the reason I took a moment to check something, because when you were talking about how close all these guys are, I don't know if anybody got a chance to go and look. There's a Stan Lee documentary going on right now. It's on Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
But he basically was saying, I've heard Stan Lee say this before in a long line when he was creating all these characters, putting in New York, he knew he couldn't help but have them interact with each other. Thor is eventually going to bump into Iron Man. He's going to eventually bump into, this is the early days.
Yes.
Before the Avengers kind of was created. But they'll bump into the Fantastic Four, the Spider-Man. So as you can see, that baseline has always been there with Marvel. So that's why it's great that we can have this particular character, and you're wondering, why are we talking about him? Because this is a character who's actually interacted with enough of our current known MCU characters who are out there right now. We already know Thor, we know Spider-Man, we know Iron Man, we know the Avengers. They're already there right now. Again, these are just characters who we're already accustomed to, and this is just a great time to say, well, you know what? Let's bring on another character, as we say, okay, we can consider him a D-class character. But this is the character who actually has some type of morals and struggles, in the sense of, we understand, we can look from the perspective of why a character is doing what he's doing. Why is this character, what made him to be that? You know what? Exactly. The only thing that's coming to my head right now is, so we've all seen similar type of little clips on Instagram where, like, saying, this was the origin story of why someone turned into a villain. And the last one I just saw was either today or yesterday. I saw one where this little kid was sitting in front of, oh my goodness, a chameleon? I think it was a chameleon, lizard kind of scenario.
Yeah.
And they say, this is the origin story. And all of a sudden you see it, and all of a sudden in the last second, his tongue comes out and then pings off the baby. The baby's like, ah! And realizing, and at this moment, this is what he's doing. So you can see the progression of, why did little Bobby turn into a villain? Because the chameleon hit me in my forehead, and I didn't like reptile sense then. So now we see the reasoning of why Robert Farrell turned into Rocket Racer, because of the struggles of his own personal struggles, his home type of needs of, trying to procure income and, finances to take care of his house, his family. Mm-hmm. But then he realized, again, through being out there, you realize that he didn't have a criminal heart. He just did it for financial gain. And now he's a hero. So this is a great IP that you can bring in. Maybe we'll love to see more of him in the big screen, in that sense of where I'm about to get to. As you know, most of the time when we're talking about a character, we're always talking about a character that we do like, and we also would like to see some type of, live action adaptation, even if it's cartoon, but seeing more up to date. Rocket Racer is one of those ones right now.
Oh yeah. I'm fully into this. So even then, to go a little bit further, at one point it looked like he slipped back into crime, and he started doing crime again, and he got caught. And then it turns out that he was working undercover for S.H.I.E.L.D. Mm-hmm. So when they found him, they see him, and he starts stuttering a lot. It's like he's not a person that stutters, and you find out later on that he's working for S.H.I.E.L.D. to help them get a piece of technology back, and if he gets it back, that Shield will give him X amount of money to help his mom, because now his mom is in a coma. She's comatose.
Right.
He's trying to not make sure the house doesn't get repossessed and his mom's bills can still go through. The only thing is he failed in his mission, so we don't know what happened to his mom. Now that just kind of disappeared. But he does come back, and he's part of that new class of students with Avengers Academy. He moves to the West Coast Avengers former headquarters, and Rocket Racer leaves the Avengers Academy alongside Machine Teen to join genius Jeremy Briggs. So that's another, thing to himself. He's got a journey that's there. So he's, as I said, started off as a thief, saved Spider-Man from a bounty hunter, helped prove Spider-Man being innocent because he was being framed. So he proved that. He's trying to help his mom. So now we know his mom, he failed in the mission. We don't know what happened to his mom. Maybe S.H.I.E.L.D. turned around and still, I don't see Nick Fury saying, hey, you failed your mission. We're not going to give you the money. I can see him saying, hey, look, kid, you failed. Thanks for the try. And he would still help him out some way. Right. He was just using the money as motivation, but even though he failed, Nick Fury he's not cold-hearted that's like, sorry, kid, you failed and walked away. That's not Nick Fury's character. He's never been written that way. I'm talking classic Nick Fury, even the new Nick Fury, and they would not do that. So we'd still help him in some way whatsoever, especially with S.H.I.E.L.D. technology. They should be able to help him. So I think that's a storyline that could be explored. See what happens. Maybe his mom survived and he just said, oh, the mom is not there. So maybe she was being targeted. There's deeper layers they can do to this story for sure, 100%. Right. There's 100%. No question about it. And then, of course, you have another person who went by the identity of Rocket Racer, which was Henry Seelman. Seelman,
yep.
Right. Thank you. And he was, he befriended Robert, stole his gear, and then started kind of taking up, he took up the name Troy, posing as Pharrell's friend for months. So Henry turned around and said, oh, I'm Troy, became friends with him, stole his Rocket Racer costume, and went on, a shopping spree. Let's just put it that way. And so that was another thing, but he does get it back. Now, it's one of these heroes that I feel they can have a lot more to it. And, I'll let Rod, you do your thing first. I know I'm going to tell you right now, we go fan cast it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to say what the adaptations we like to see of this character. He showed up in some media already, but not enough. And I don't think that Marvel's really expanded on what they can do with this character. They've really set up a good thing that, especially in this day and age, so he's a person of color. He's a genius. Every person in the Marvel Universe is a genius to stand out. They got to do certain things. Starts as a bad guy. So I would say more of an anti-hero. But he starts as a villain, anti-hero to hero. So he transitions. And all the time he's trying to do it for his brothers and sisters and his mom. So it leaves a lot of questions in my mind. One, whatever happened really to the dad? Did he leave? Did he die? I can't remember what happened with the dad. I'd have to go back and read it to find out more. The mom, let's get more into the sickness with the mom. We know that Robert's a genius, right? But what about his other brothers and sisters? Do any of them have any kind of skills that stand out, or are they just average? Don't know. What's their lives made of and what's their connection? Because you have any family has brothers, sisters, a lot of times, they've got your families that have their single children too, but they will find friends who would fill that sibling role for them. So Robert being the oldest, clearly, does they all look up to Robert? Do some of them have resentment against Robert? Are some closer than others to him? Do some try to protect him? Do some say, no, you've gone wrong and really see life as black and white? There's a lot of family dynamics in there that they've never really had the chance, in my opinion, to properly explore. A lot of meat on the bone.
Oh, definitely. I'm trying to think what else I could say other than what you just said. But I mean, there's different avenues that we can learn. I say learn, but we can dive into. I'm trying to think other than what you just said, but really and truly, who he is, again, the connection to his family and everything like that. Now let's even go into how smart he is. Yeah. He's a scientific genius. So that's an avenue we can explore and realizing, okay, so were you born with a high intelligence, or were you like, was your father, or like, you know what, we don't know about the father, but we're always focusing on the mother. Well, we know of the mother, so fine.
Yeah.
Let's just say, was his mother, was she a scientist? Was she someone who's actually was able to? Did he, get the knowledge from her? It's just like, I'm smart, my kid is smart. What kind of scenario? Who knows? We can learn it. You can dive into that. What if his struggles when he now is going into a life of crime or starting his career path as a criminal? What was he doing before that? What has he done? Did he try to do something with his intelligence beforehand that just didn't pan out and he just got frustrated? And you know what? I'm just going to go and be a criminal in that regard. But in my mind, they definitely dug into a little bit with, him being smart and creating his skateboard. We need to dive into that, because for someone to have the technology to basically, as you said, imagine a longboard, you have two propelling rockets on the side, right?
Yeah.
And it also has the ability that he can scale a wall, scale down a wall, instead of, you're going down basically, but I think I'm going to fall forward.
Yeah.
You're just going to float into the air and just like, no, gravitational boots to anchor you to the board as you go down. Cause especially if you're going at such, high speeds, you don't want the thing to slip underneath you and you start floating. It's going left, you're going right. No.
Yeah.
So these are the small little nuances. How I look at it the same way, like when they introduced Iron Man in MCU, you can clearly see that they went through the steps of making the gauntlet, working on the boots, working on this. So you can see that he looked from each aspect of we know what he's going to use it for and how it's going to be used. But they did, okay, this is step one, this is step two. So with Robert, we're going to look for the same type of, I want to see that. I want to see that. And I want to see that he did it. And it was kind of like not a bad project, but it must have been one of those things he put in the back burner. And these are just, the mental script that's coming on my head. He did something, it got put in the back of the back burner. Then he made the decision that I need to go and make some money. Like Leonardo, that project I was working on a couple of months ago. Let me pull that out of the box. Let me see what I can figure with that. Now he's focusing hard. Let me figure this thing out, which is all in the comics. You see that, you see the quick little, panels showing what it is. Let's go deep into that. Let's see why.
Absolutely. Because the movie I was talking about was Lords of Dogtown. That's the movie I was talking about, Lords of Dogtown, which was really the beginning of that skateboarding culture. The companies and these guys all went on to various levels of success with Lords of Dogtown. I'm talking the real people who they portrayed in that biopic. Why a skateboard? Right? I mean, I know the 70s skateboarding was hot, 100%. Right? So
100%.
He went with a skateboard. Could have been roller skates. It could have been a BMX bike. It could have been a 10-speed. It could have been a rocket. He could have been like the Rocketeer. He went with the skateboard. So this tells me that he had an affinity to skateboard. He must have looked up to it. He must have liked the whole skateboarding culture.
100%.
Right. Okay. 100%. So this is where it's coming to me with the whole skateboarding culture. Not just because that's the character, he seemed kind of cool at the time. Put him on a skateboard and something like a Walkman, a Sony Walkman that controls it cybernetically to bring the board to him. He attaches onto it magnetically. Simple concept, but I think it has a lot more legs. And the fact that he went from being a villain from Spider-Man to dealing and hanging with the Avengers and S.H.I.E.L.D., interacting and trying to bring down MODOK at one point. Oh, okay. So he went from Speed Demon, Big Wheel to MODOK. So that's a heavy hitter in the villain scale. S.H.I.E.L.D. is right up there. S.H.I.E.L.D. is, everyone knows S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick Fury, S.H.I.E.L.D. Okay, don't care if he's white or black Nick Fury, it's still S.H.I.E.L.D. And the Avengers. And he went to Avengers Academy. So he's and Silver Sable, right? And the Outcast. He's in the right spots. Right. So here's where it comes down to. Let's go to the adaptation. Rod, if you had to adapt this character, what would you want to see from Rocket Racer? How we normally do. We're gonna get into our fan casting adaptation. Part. So how do you see this?
I'm torn because I would like a live action in the MCU. Now, here's the scenario: is that yes, there's meat on the bone. There's enough that could be pulled from there. Is it enough for more than a series? I mean, like a season? Uh,
Yeah.
that's just my thoughts on it. That's why, because if I thought there was something more, then I would say, okay, fine, let's put him in a like in a Disney Plus. Let's give him a season or two seasons, you know. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much we can pull out from that. But having him in the MCU, again, he's that DC character. But perfect that you have him as a secondary sub story going on. Perfect example. We're already introduced to Murdoch.
Mm-hmm.
If Murdoch, having Murdoch in out of the quantum realm kind of scenario, Avengers, Murdoch, Racer with Murdoch, trying to, get that kind of scenario. Shield realized like, hey, you're making connection, but we realize who we are. We've seen your history doing like, like Tony did the first time he saw Spider-Man. Here's some video. I've seen you do stuff before, so there's already a history. We already know there's a 6 month or a year
Yeah.
history with
Yeah.
Spider-Man. Let's just say there's a 6 month history. We'll see flashbacks to him building his stuff, whatever the case to be. But we can now connect Shield, Nick Fury's Shield, to him to infiltrate into Murdoch, to AIM. You know what I mean? So 3/4 of the characters are already known to us already. So that's why I feel it should be on a MCU level and put it in there and grow from there.
Yeah. Okay.
And if the audience like it, and can, gravitate to the character,
Mm-hmm.
then we can, put him in something else kind of thing afterwards. But I think just the initial, I think that might be the best way for him. Because again, he's not that known as yet. His story is compelling. The story that makes sense. Again, we're going from the aspect of the Robin Hood. I'm going into a life of crime. My heart is not for the life of crime. I'm just only going there as a way out from my current situation.
Right. All about family.
Yeah.
He can join Fast X Part 2.
Right. X Part 2.
All right.
X.1.
So I like your adaptation. Now hold on to who you would cast. We're gonna hold on for a second.
Oh, yeah.
Get back to that. So here's my take of it. Now, this is what I was saying. I know my take is gonna be, everyone hold on, put your seatbelt on. It is very extremely over the top. But come with me on a little bit of a journey. Imagine you will. This guy who starts off, and we mentioned about how he started and how we left him off. Mom's in a coma, family's struggling. No matter what, we know the core of his motivation is always family. He was Vin Diesel before Vin Diesel.
Nice.
Right. He's gone from crime to being undercover, working for S.H.I.E.L.D. Mom has always struggled with an illness, something going on. Doesn't know what to do. He's done everything. He's done it illegally. He's done it legally. He's worked. He's put himself in danger, trying to improve his mom's health and provide for his siblings. We know he's a genius. With a tinkerer. Now, Marvel likes, in the comic books I'm talking, at least in their comic book, the pulp version of Marvel, they like turning around and making major changes with characters sometimes that are so out there that you sit there going, what? Like currently right now, I know they're working on a storyline where Tony Stark, Iron Man, marries Emma Frost from the Hellfire Club / X-Men. They're supposed to be getting married.
I saw that clip. I was like,
yeah, okay then. We see that the X-Men now, a lot of them have leveled up to Omega level mutants. They're more Omega level, and they're living on the Living Island. The island they live on, Kokora, is the brother of the island that kidnapped the original X-Men. And that's where the new X-Men team came in to save them, and Giant Size X-Men. And this is why they came out with that talking, so this is where we got the original X-Men were all kidnapped, right? So that's Beast, that's the Marvel Girl. The only one that escaped was Cyclops. Iceman was captured. Angel was captured. And Cyclops makes it back. Xavier says, hey, I have other mutants that you're going to take to go back and get them. And that's when he brought in Wolverine, Colossus, Nightcrawler, Storm, Banshee, Sunfire. Okay. So Marvel's always about leveling up, and sometimes things don't make sense. But this one, how I'm going to go, and I had to set this up so you understand where I'm going. It's going to be some major leveling up. So the motivation is going to be this. It might work in a comic book format. It might work as a cartoon, but I would love to see it as a cartoon, small limited series cartoon. It could be even a cartoon movie, a Disney Plus cartoon movie. They can call it, as I always say, Marvel Presents. I've gone with this before, Marvel Premiere, Marvel Presents Rocket Racer, and do it as a movie, but and the reason it's going to show this is going to show the characters leveling up. Give a little bit of backstory, showing how Rocket Racer started, showing how, him telling his story as a narrator, saying, hey, well, when I first came on the scene as a Rocket Racer, this is what I did, and show him coming out with Rocket Racer being a villain. And then, these happen a couple of times, and so show key moments. Show him fighting Spider-Man for the first time, him going to jail, his mom and siblings and their health, get into him with Silver Sable, going undercover, even if they got to modify certain aspects, but keep the key elements that are really important to Rocket Racer. At the end of this, we're going to have my boy show up. The ultimate, he's not a villain. He's not a hero. He's just hungry. Galactus. You're going, what? Hold on with me. Bring Galactus to Earth. Let Galactus go through a whole thing saying, hey, I'm hungry. I need the energy. I got no heralds. They betrayed me or left me. And let him fight everybody. Bring in the X-Men. Bring in the Avengers. Bring in the Fantastic Four. Bring in some villains and say, hey, well, Dr. Doom will show up saying, like, I don't like you guys, but I can't rule Earth if Earth is eaten. And while they're going there and they can't beat Galactus, they're fighting him, but they can't stop him fully. They're just kind of slightly slowing him down. Have my man Robert show up and say, hey, look, enough of the fighting. I know in the past, Galactus, you have turned around and embedded the power cosmic into people to turn them into heralds, right? Mm-hmm. I will be your new herald if you cure my mom. Mm-hmm. Bring her out of use the power cosmic to bring her out of a coma. Whatever disease she has, use the power cosmic to cure her. If you cure her, I will willingly be your herald for as long as it can be, right? And that's that. And Galactus, he's really quick to say, yeah, I need someone to find me some food, some sustenance. Right. Sure. Snap. And we will evolve Robert Farrell from Rocket Racer to Cosmic Racer.
Okay.
Now, what? Barry, that sounds crazy. Really? Because Galactus' first hero was Silver Surfer.
Right.
Air Walker. Right? He named a guy after that walks. He named a guy that was surfing. These are two of Galactus' heralds. Why can't we have Cosmic Racer?
Yep.
He would, and now keep in mind with the motivation of the character, is it very over the top? I agree. But would he agree to be Galactus' herald to have his mom cured permanently? Yes, he would. Because he knows if his mom's cured permanently, that the family will be taken care of. He could turn around at that point and say, hey, guys, I will be his herald with the condition that he heals my mom, stays away from Earth. Oh, by the way, Sword, which is a division of of S.H.I.E.L.D., you guys need to take care of my siblings for life. Put them in a nice home. Make sure they don't want nothing. And if you do that, I'm good. I'm good. So mom is cured. Siblings are taken care of. And Robert, with his sacrifice, will be doing the ultimate sacrifice, not only saving his family, but saving the Earth. And therefore, you level up a character, and we would have ourselves the very first Black Herald for Galactus as Cosmic Racer.
Okay.
Right? Let's look at DC. DC, we have, what's his name? The one there in skis. Oh my gosh. He's the Angel of Death. Is it Death Racer? I can't remember right now. He's one of the new gods. I'm usually good with this, but it's been a long day. He goes around on skis. He's in armor. He used to be colorful armor when Jack Kirby did it, and they made it all black. The Black Racer. That's it. Black Racer. So Black Racer is the Angel of Death in the New Gods. He goes around on skis in almost medieval armor. Why can't we have Cosmic Racer Robert Farrell go, because from Earth we had Frankie, who was a girlfriend of the Human Torch, and she went by Nova and was his herald for a while, and then she kind of did her own thing.
Mm.
So and that would level up. If the X-Men can all level up, if the X-Men can live on a living island that when they die brings them back to life, why can't this guy be Galactus's new herald? He's a genius IQ. He's a tinkerer. He's around machines. He's gonna have the power cosmic. He turn around, turn his little skateboard into like a mini, skateboard. Take the wheels off, keep the little rockets in there, give him a new look, still the same color scheme. Cosmic Racer. Away he goes. Comes back to Earth once in a while to check on his family, and he works out a deal with S.H.I.E.L.D. and S.W.O.R.D. to make sure that his family is a fund for his brothers and sisters so they can go to school, they can live someplace, and his mom is secured. That's how I'm going with this character, because at times we have these characters and they've leveled up. Look at DC. DC's leveled up. Penguin, right? Penguin went from being I'm a Penguin umbrella scheme to owning an iceberg club. The Riddler went from being the Riddler, riddle me this, Batman, to being a detective and writing books and a TV personality in the Batman universe. Why can't we level up Rocket Racer? What else is being done with him? You turn around and making Iron Man marry, Emma Frost. That doesn't make really much sense to me. Him going from Rocket Racer to Cosmic Racer with that motivation makes a lot of sense to me. And then, have him doing that narration. And when you kind of pull back, you see him in a rocket racer in outer space going to a planet. And of course, he'll be similar like the Silver Surfer in the sense that he's not a killer. So he's going to look for planets that are uninhabited, give people warning to get away, whatever. He's not going to be malicious about it. He's got morals. That's what I want to see. So people might say, oh, it's a stretch, Barry. Really? Read some comic books and tell me what some other issues weren't a stretch.
Got it. No. It sounds good. I like the like you said, it's not really that far fetched. Once it's laid out like that. I definitely agree. I even forgot about even doing like say a movie, like an animated cartoon movie. But that definitely would have worked as well even from my side. But yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so who do you have?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
So that's what I'm saying. Because look, we have Ironheart that's out. We have other characters that have been out just more recently. I like what DC's done with Batman universe, where they're taking existing characters, give them a little bit of a spin. Some we might agree with or might not, but they've trying to breathe new life into them. Breathe new life into Rocket Racer. So, you're going to say, who do I have to play my version of Rocket Racer?
Yeah.
All right. So this character, the actor I want to pick will either be the voice in the cartoon or for live action. I'm good with both. And this person understands skateboarding culture. So almost like this guy's name, Robert Farrell. I'm going with Pharrell Williams.
Oh,
right. Now, I know Pharrell, for who's familiar with him, he's a little bit older, but Pharrell, he doesn't look his age. Pharrell Williams, yes, music producer, rapper, singer, whatever, he's done it all with Snoop Dogg, drop it like it's hot. He's a big skateboarder in real life.
Yeah, yes.
He's a big skateboarder in real life. If I remember correctly, I think his son's name is Rocket. I believe his son's biological name is something like that. Like it's Rocket Williams. Check that for me, Rod. I think so.
I'll check it right now.
Dun, 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 dun. So I'm going with Pharrell Williams. He understands the skateboard culture. The guy, Rocket Racer, is not so per se a martial artist. He's not a big fighter, but he's a skateboarder. Pharrell has got that look. He's got that nice look. So to see him kind of go from villain to hero, he's got a distinct voice. I think that would stand out. He's got a unique look, and he understands the culture. So even if they come in and say, well, we should do this. No, skateboarders don't talk like that. And I think you already got dip in more to the skateboarding culture. And Pharrell's smart. So, being a studious person, motivated, I think he can pull it off. Definitely if it's a voiceover, I would say Pharrell Williams. And if it's got to be live action, he's still in shape that he would look good as however they want to put him together as the Cosmic Racer. So hold on, is his son's name Rocket?
His son name is Rocket. His son name is Rocket. And the Despicable Me song, Rocket's theme, was actually written in his honor, in his son's honor.
Okay, so let's see. Pharrell Williams, skateboarding culture. His son's name is Rocket, man of color. I'm sure if I ask Pharrell Williams if he knows about Rocket Racer, he's going, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So who you got, Rod, for your Robert Pharrell?
Well, for my Robert Pharrell, I was actually wanted to go with a character that we know who's known, but he has that type of personality that when you see him and he talks, you realize he could be a little gritty, a little not saying he has to be criminal minded, but he could be sassy if need to be, but he has that compassion. So I wanted to go with Taylor James Williams, aka Everybody Hates Chris. I could just on that show, I'm not even going to bother to even look for other stuff per se. He's done other stuff that we've known him in.
Walking Dead.
Right. But I'll just say for everybody who hates Chris, everybody hates Chris. He has the character, he's a character, who loves his family. He does basically anything for his family. He'll be sassy and, be able to, to be that type of criminal minded if need be. You know what I mean? Like you can talk like that and just have
he's the one that played Chris Rock's role, right? He's the one that played the main actor?
Correct.
Yeah, okay, so he was in Walking Dead and his scene was when he left, he died in a revolving door at a mall.
Right.
Wouch. Yeah, okay, but everyone hates Chris. Yeah, good call. I like that. Yeah. Good call, man.
So yeah. I would just say with him, I mean, he does have that personality that, that he could, work with family. He understands the family element in regards to doing what you got to do. If you watch him, if you look at him now, he's like really fit, and then he can handle himself in a live presentation and be able to give a good persona of being that skateboarder, built, slim built, he's toned and he's able to like handle himself. I can definitely see him having that, working that out. Again, he has other criteria, other shows that he's done that you can just see the sass in him if need be. Right. Abbott Elementary is one of the latest one that he's in right now.
Yeah.
And he's dangerous. He's pure jokes. So
he's got range. He
has range. So this is where I would think I would like to see him in there at that.
Sweet. All right then. So I like that a lot. So I'm going with, Pharrell Williams from NRED. Pharrell Williams solo Pharrell was done a lot of stuff. Look him up. You can't miss him. Music wise, you probably already heard Pharrell Williams. Drop It Like It's Hot with Snoop Dogg. That's him. Pharrell Williams. Rod, once again, you're going with
Tyler James Williams.
Tyler James Williams. There we go. We fan casted it. We gave our adaptations of it. I know you might look at it as like Rocket Racer of all people. Yeah, Rocket Racer of all people. So that's what we've done. This brings us to the end of another episode of the Iconist podcast. Any last words, Rod?
As we say, always check out your local comic stores. Support the pulp, support the paperback, support the thing that can fan your face. Yeah, don't fan it because you don't want to depreciate your value. So just open up very slowly. Yes, support your comic books.
Absolutely support the comics. Support us, these guys here. You know who these guys are. This is us. Come on now.
I look familiar.
I'll leave you guys on this. Thank you very much once again for tuning in. Let us being the voice in your ears when we're talking about these comic books and everything we like to talk about, all the geek culture, nerd culture, whatever you want to label it. We are there for it. We are fans of it. We really enjoy and embrace it. That being said, this whole world was started by a pencil, a piece of paper, and lots of imagination. Keep on dreaming. We're out.
Rocket punch.
And the words
Randall
of
Z.
Lupe Fiasco, skate and push. That's right. Push skate. That was his song, Lupe Fiasco. Look it up. Yep. Another skateboard. There we go. Out.